Are you hungry for some fantastic food and a great atmosphere? Then head over to the Hebron Grill. Distinctively Southern and soulfully unique, the Hebron Grill has something for everyone. It's the perfect spot for family dinners, a quick lunch, or catching up with friends. We want to send a huge thank you to the Hebron Grill for being a sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast and for their incredible support in helping us empower dads everywhere. So the next time you're looking for a great meal, remember the Hebron Grill. Find them online or stop by today. That's the Hebron Grill. Great food and great community. Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson along with Andy Dalton, bringing you another great show. Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, except recording this, it's snow outside for the first time.
Yeah.
And I am not a fan of the cold. And so it's taking me a little bit of adjustment. I got to get out my winter coat, like brush the dust off. But I'm okay. How about you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm okay. You are kind of funny about that cold because you're a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And usually the bigger guy's like, man, I'm sweating and I'm hot.
Yeah.
Not you, man. You're like, I got a sweatshirt on. I got sweaters.
I joked with, who was I with the other day? I was telling them, I was like, with some men, I was like, I can work hard. I got a good work ethic or work capacity. Like I can do some manual things. Like, I can do some hard stuff. But you put me in the cold, I like shrivel up like a baby very quickly. I'm like, all right, I suck. I can't do it.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
I'm kind of that way myself. I over the course of the years of doing this, there's many shows where I have complained about cold, rainy weather where it just, I don't know, my body shuts down. And it's like, this isn't good.
Oh, no.
So hey, we have a good show today. It's one of these shows where we're going to have a serious call to action.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would just be lying if it didn't stem from some of, or at least where I came up with the idea. And again, like you and I can develop the idea in our conversation, but came up with the idea of just, you had actually mentioned a song, Tim McGraw's, I think, Live Like You Were Dying.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, any of you guys have followed along a little bit, you've heard my diagnosis of glioblastoma cancer. And so the prognosis for that is not good. And so, and as we are recording, I'm feeling things not clicking and working like they should. So as I'm looking at you right now, my left eye, the left side over is all weird. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of disturbing because you're going, okay, wait, focus.
Yeah.
And it's not focusing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a little scary. It's a little wonky in terms of how I'm operating. But these are going to be some of the things that I start walking through, and all of them are a reminder of what are you going to do in your last days? If you knew that you were in your last days, what would life look like for you, right? And people are like, I've said that before too. And so kind of this is kind of a wake-up call for me. It's like, okay, are you really living in your final days as if they are your final days?
That's good.
You can talk that way. Well, if I only had 2 weeks to live, this is exactly what I would do.
Yes.
Well, I haven't been given the exact date, but it's within a year, or so. And so, so the question really for me has been, okay, so am I taking advantage of this? Am I living like I were dying? Or have I fallen back into my comfortable ways, right? We've talked about that with diet. How many times have you jumped into a diet and you're like, man, this is exactly what I need. I'm going to trim down a little weight. And you buy all the food, you buy all the stuff.
Yep.
And 2 weeks in,
I'm right on back to where I was before.
Right back where I was. Yeah.
What did they say? Like the beginning of the year, New Year's resolutions, like at
Yeah.
the gyms in January are packed.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
go in February. Just wait till February. Like,
yeah.
where'd everybody go?
Yeah. Well, and the gyms love that because they got you on a monthly pay.
Yep.
And so they don't care whether you show up or not. They got your credit card number.
Greatest business plan, you can't cancel online.
Yeah.
You have to physically go in person to cancel.
Yes.
What is so smart?
Yeah. It's it almost seems conniving.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah. Let me get you back in the place you don't want to go to anymore in order to cancel the thing you don't want to go to.
Yeah. And it's I'll get around to it. So anyway, so that's going to be kind of the basis of what we're talking about. Why don't you go through our sponsors?
Yeah, we want to thank Quality Auto Mart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and Hebron Grill, and thank you guys for your support of being, sponsors for us to allow Merle and I to, put these shows on, and for you, everybody out there who watches and listens to this. If you guys do business with them, thank them, or if you don't, like if you're like I'm looking someplace to go out to eat, go to Hebron Grill or Flowers, Casey's Outdoor Solution, whatever the case is. We encourage you guys to support them as they've supported us. So thank you.
Yeah. So let's ask the question, that a lot of us, we think we'd want to know the answer, but it's a little scary when you find out the answer, and that is, how much time do I actually have left?
So is there an expiration date that you've got on the bottom of your foot stamps?
Right.
Where's that thing at?
I just know that my milk's going to sour probably before yours.
Yeah. I think that's the trap. We joked about it. I'm 34 years old, and when you put yourself back when you were 34, you were just starting over at Bright Elementary, right? The career change, if you want to call it that, from teaching in the classroom to being a guidance counselor.
Right.
And I'm like, I got 30 years left, or whatever the case is, till even if you think retirement age, right? I got 30 years left till retirement. Like, I got plenty of time.
Yeah.
And then that's where it creeps up on you of, oh man, this is flying by.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not living like, I've got an expiration date stamped very, very soon.
Yeah. Well, the first time it really probably hit home with me was long before the whole cancer thing, was recognizing that when my parents have passed or very close to passing, and Linda's parents and just the grandparents, right? They're all passing away. And so my brain went to, okay, so you're the next generation.
Yeah.
In other words, you're all going to the end of the ladder, and then eventually, boom, you're going to step off.
Yeah.
And so, I recognized here in the last year or two, long before I knew anything about the cancer, it was like, okay, I'm in the last 20 years.
Yes.
So to speak.
Yeah.
And, but that was still I literally use the idea in my brain, I have 20 years. And so when you turn 60, when you talk to people who are getting older, most of us have, that lifespan is around 80, of quality. In some less, some more. But so in my brain, it was like, you got 20 years of good quality, you better go get it done. So there was a little bit of impending doom of, okay, don't screw this up.
Yeah.
When it went from 20 years to, 20 months, 20 days, it's got even more serious.
Yeah.
So the question is, how much time do I have left? The answer is, I really don't know.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that make me realize it may be sooner than I realize. Right?
What are those things?
Illness.
Yeah.
The fact that all of my kids now are out of the house.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
And so you realize, oh, okay, that's another chapter that we've just moved into. I've got 7 grandkids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another reminder. So you're not thinking that way yet, right?
I think, too, another one, retirement. Like another thing that makes me realize chapters are coming close to the end is I'm not close to retirement. You were on the edge of retirement, leading into me starting here at Rock Solid Families. And so that's, for me, that would be a very good indicator, like, oh, retirement. And then, in my mind, I've thought of retirement as freedom, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're free then to, like right now, I don't want to say burdened, but I'm blocked off. My time is blocked off at least 40 hours a week. I know what I'm doing. I got to go to
Right.
work. And then, so that would be another chapter that like, oh, well, I'm getting close to the end of it because I can retire now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And then all of a sudden you realize I thought I had whatever 20 years to do the fun or cool or interesting or worthy things
Yeah.
in retirement. And now I don't have that.
yes.
And so that's also changed my priority list.
Yeah.
You've seen my calendar or my map in my office.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had all the states on there, and I was checking off each state that I rode my bike in. And I think I'm at 30 states or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, probably not going to be checking that off anymore.
Yeah.
One, I don't feel good enough to do it, and two, like it's unrealistic
Yeah.
for me to look at my wife and say, stop whatever you're doing, because we still need a paycheck, and so she's still working.
Yeah.
And so there's just different things there that have set in that make us think twice about what do we have in our time, and what are we going to do in the time that we have.
Yeah. And I think I think this is a really good conversation. I'm glad we're having, especially for somebody like me who, at a younger age, I've got time to prioritize my commitments and my values. And I think you said this before, like vision and goals, like on that map, it said ride 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your goal, I have a goal by the time I get to the end of my chapters is, can I ride all 50 states, right?
Right.
And if you don't accomplish it, that doesn't mean you're a failure.
Right.
You 30 plus states in there. I look at that thing all the time and I think you've got one you've ridden across America.
Right.
1980 something.
86.
1986. You rode from one coast to the other coast, and that is phenomenal, right? Even if you didn't do all 50, that is still a bunch of accomplishments you've done. You've gotten checked off of these places, Hawaii and all these other states that you've ridden at. Like, this is really cool to say that you've done that. But for us to like, are we going back and valuing our time? Are we going back and setting these goals? And you had said this when I started, like, if you're not dreaming and having visions, something's wrong there. Something isn't dying. You're not looking forward to the next chapter. You're not planning and preparing for what the next step could be. And so I think having this conversation now, if we've got some younger listeners like my age or even younger, or in between, like, is it time for you to like, all right, let's sit down, let's prioritize. What are my values? Where am I spending my time? And what am I doing with the days that I have left?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So this gets us into the idea of James 4:14. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. I have definitely come to realize, you and I talked before, my first 10 or so years of teaching, I remember very vividly.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's the very first times that you do stuff, you go, oh yeah. It marks on you. But then if you keep doing that same thing again and again, you get complacent with it. Like, oh, I don't know how many times I've ridden my bike now, or I don't know how many times I've done this or that. But it's that first time. And so the first years of teaching are kind of etched in my mind much more clearly than the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The last 20 years, it was like, oh my gosh, like, where did that time go?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's that mist that it just vanishes like the mist. So let's just talk about whether the life is finite.
Yeah.
And it's along with being finite. So finite meaning it has a end time.
Yeah.
And it's fragile.
Yeah.
And man, that fragility is, I think, especially for us men, especially if we've been healthy.
Yes.
What does that mean to you, that life is fragile?
Life is fragile to me is cautious, risk versus reward. Is it worthwhile to do this? As I'm starting to get into cycling, thanks to you and others.
Sorry, Catherine.
I'm really enjoying it, but with that, like I had a conversation with somebody this week, actually BJ Murphy, and he's like, "Are you afraid on these roads of getting hit?" And for me, I haven't had it happen to me. I've even heard of like, of stories of other things happening, even to your son, who I'm close to, of like, oh, I was riding and somebody threw something at me.
Yeah.
Or, I've had somebody honk at me once, but I think that is it. I've had really people been like, if I've got a car coming behind me and a car coming in front of me, they've waited until the car's passed and gone past me on the other side of the road. And so like, I've never had any of these close calls. So for me, like, I don't feel any sense of impending danger when I'm riding on a road that I could be hit by a 60-mile-an-hour car, flung off and hit the street. Like breaking bones could very easily happen, but I don't have that. Like you said, I think men do that too. Until something happens,
Right.
you don't sense any fragility with it.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about going downhill on the bike.
Yep.
I've always been stupid fast riding down hills.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like it's fun. But I've also now here in the last years thought, if I go down at 50 miles an hour,
Yeah.
this party's over.
Yep.
Whereas I didn't ever think that way before. Before it was like tuck, get down, and just hold on, And so the idea now that you could pay a price that might be more than you want to pay.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is very fragile.
Yeah.
But does that mean we shouldn't do it? Right? Like, does that mean we shouldn't do it? Does that mean we shouldn't take the risk?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, you're a young dad.
Yep.
What does the risk? So here we are, whether it's starting a new business, changing jobs like you recently did,
Yes.
Riding dangerously on a bike.
Yes.
What kind of risk should, in our final days, right, if we're going to live like we're dying, what do you look at with risk?
Yeah. So, for instance, a good example that I can use in our life, Catherine liked to play indoor soccer. She played soccer in college. She played soccer her whole growing up. And so we played a couple of different leagues together. She continued because she was really good at it. Nobody calls me up and say, Andy, you want to sub for me for soccer? But one, it's harder to get girls to play. But two, she's really good. And so she got called all the time. The last time she played, she rolled her ankle to the point she went to the doctor, but she didn't. And so like, right then and there, she has said, it is not worth it for me to continue playing soccer on the risk of getting injured. And to go back to your question, for me as a dad with young kids, I got a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an 8-year-old. It is not worth for me to do something and get hurt now. The risk value, like, okay, I enjoy biking. I see what it's done to my health, how it strengthens me. It gives life back to me. Like, if I don't go ride, I am like, oh, like this, I didn't get out today. Today's my day. I didn't go yesterday. I was like, I'm excited. I've got my stuff planned. I know what I'm going to do for my workout, and it'll refuel me and charge me. So when I come back home, I'm going to be a better dad and husband and so on.
Right.
And so that risk reward is good enough for me to justify, like, okay. And I do feel that when I go downhill, I don't have that confidence yet. So like, I will hit the brakes a lot sooner than what some other people will. Like, let's back it off until I get more confident to know how to handle these speeds. And so how does that determination follow? I think that's going to be individual, but I don't want to go to the point of YOLO, right? Thinking on this, like the world would say like, well, if you're going to go die soon, like YOLO, man, you only got one life to live, rip it out there, do it, and all these adrenaline junkies or even like these risk takers too, like, okay, there is risk, taking a risk from leaving the safe insurance retirement of teaching to come to a nonprofit and Rock Solid Families was a risk that some people didn't agree with taking.
Yeah.
But our family did. And so how is that answered? Part of it is friendships with the Lord and with our other friends who, like, hey, we had conversation back and forth. And then some of it too is, what are you willing to go? Does it pour back to you? Like, if I'm going to go bungee jump off of a bridge, all right, that's a high risk. What's the reward in that?
Yeah.
Excitement. Like I can't justify it in my head. Like, all right, well, that doesn't work well with our family.
Yeah.
But you're going on this main street road, 35 miles an hour, cars coming past you, 55, you get hit, you're breaking hips, collarbones, you're out for a long time, can't pick up your kids. Like, there's a risk there too. So
Yeah. I think as you're talking about that, I think something that I would encourage guys to consider is, first off, to live adventurously, to take the risk, but know what the risk is going to cost, not just you, but the people in your life.
Yes.
And so that's where, you start to make the changes. Like, we both came from athletic backgrounds, and you might say, like when I was training, doing triathlons and marathon stuff, it was very easy for me to say, no, man, this is what I love doing and I want to do it.
Yep.
But then I had to start to go, but what's it costing my family?
That's good.
I'm not around as much because I'm training, or I have no energy when I am around because I was training,
Yes.
Injuries, like why is dad hobbling again? Well, because he pulled another hamstring and now he can't go run around with you kids. And so I think it's really important that you dads out there, that you don't stop living, but now you have a responsibility to weigh out what you're going to do and how it's going to impact other people.
Yep.
And if you don't do that, I'd say we have a selfish problem.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't care what you think, honey. I'm going out hunting.
Yes.
I'm going out riding. I'm
Yes.
going out. It's like, okay, is this the way you really want to be known?
Yep.
Because if you died today arguing with your wife about you going out into the deer stand or you going out on the bike, if you died today, is that the last argument that you want to have?
Yes. Yes.
So again, and we don't know our next day.
No.
But I do know the pattern of life that I get into.
Yep.
And I know that there's a frequency of things that I do, that if I go out with that attitude every day, there's a high frequency that I'm going to have a conversation like that with my wife, and it be one of my last ones.
Absolutely.
Because I do it a lot, kind of thing.
Yep. I think that too is like, one, having a conversation with wife about like, okay, this is I enjoy this. Is this something worthwhile? And I think too, with our wives or our friends, if we're not married, of like, okay, if I'm going to go spend this much time doing it, is it worthwhile for the outcome, what it's going to affect my life, my future? Like if you're skipping work to go hunting, but it's only deer season in this short amount of time, right? I got a small little window to go get me but it puts meat in my freezer. Like it fills me like, okay, what are the chances of that? And you're skipping work to do it. Like, okay, come on, man. Like, is this worth it?
Right.
And then to go back to like, you're talking about this and we're going like, okay, you're at the final end of your days where you're looking back and you're saying, good and faithful servant, well done. Are you excited to go like, okay, I'm proud of the life that I've lived, of the kids that I've helped raise, of the marriage that I have, of the families I've poured into. Like, so for me, since I don't know when my last days are, but as I'm working towards it, what are the goals that I want when I come to the point of, okay, you're at the doorstep of heaven's gates. Are you going to look back and be like, man, I've wasted so much time I could have had with my kids. I wasted so much time with other people's families and sessions that I'd never poured into my own marriage, So I think that would be something too for you guys listening. Like, is there something you want at the end of your life to say like, okay, this is something I'm trying to achieve. How am I spending my days to achieve that goal? Did you do anything like that coming up? Like, I want to say yes to this when I'm at the very end of my old age.
So there's certain things that have, I think, walking through the Christian walk, I'll just say for the sake of the discussion here, in the last 20 years, I started choosing priority patterns.
Okay.
And I want to use that word or that phrase, priority patterns, because, you and I talked like the idea that I'm going to commit to every day getting up and running 5 miles. And then, of course, the first day I don't get up and don't run 5 miles, I go, I screwed up. I failed. But if I started with the idea of, you know what, at least 3, 4, 5 days a week, I want to make sure I do this.
Yes.
Right. And I stick to the general pattern of how I'm going to live. Right. Versus if I don't do it exactly, the way I'm saying it, I failed.
Yes.
Because as soon as I think I fail, I'm quitting.
Oh yeah.
I'm
done.
But if I get into a mindset of a lifestyle,
okay.
The lifestyle is what I'm going for. And so, we know like one of the things that at Rock Solid we talk about all the time is the idea that the very first relationship you have to have is with God.
Yes.
to love God.
Yeah.
And a lot of I would say for the majority of us, we don't even have God on the table. If I asked you on the street just one day, what is something you're living for? My family,
Yep.
which sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
My job, my whatever. That's not our first priority.
Yep.
And so one of the very first things, 20 years ago, the idea of me starting to think like, what is the number one priority? It was to try to understand like what does it look like to live for God?
Yeah.
That He would be your first love,
That's
because
good.
it's intangible, right?
Yeah.
Like my wife, I get it. Like I can hug her and kiss her and stuff.
Yep.
But God, like I can't feel Him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the idea of first establishing what you're living for
Yes.
is just important. And of course, from our perspective, we would say God has to be your first priority.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think too that then that goes back to like, okay, when I'm at my deathbed, I can look back and say my identity, or some people say they want to work backwards. Eulogy. They want like, okay, I'm 34 years old. What do I want people to say about me at my celebration of life or funeral, right? What do I want on my headstone? And so that's what I'm going to then prioritize. I'm a child of God. I was a husband, a father, a devoted friend, and someone trying to help others in any way possible, right? Whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
So if that's your eulogy, like, okay, so now I know where the priority patterns would lie.
Yeah.
Is this going to help in that identity? Is that going to help in that goal, that vision, whatever the case is? When you go back, you said 20 years ago, you started to make that change. What happened for you to make that change? Did anything like, bam, all struck for you?
Yeah. I mentioned it a few times on here. I would have already called myself a Christian, but there were certain things that I was Christian in, understanding that that's what I was supposed to be.
Okay.
And it was John 14:6, which is, I like short verses because I don't memorize well.
Yep.
But I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody gets the Father through me. And so that was one of those aha moments for me, where I finally, 20 years ago said, oh, wow. Like, He's not saying anything but Christ is the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can fight that all you want. Well, I don't agree with it. Well, I think that's stupid, or that's just the Christians talking.
No.
Well, for me, it was a resolve of saying, if that's what the book says, then that's what I need to get rid of my pride and just suck it up and start to figure it out from that perspective.
Did you just read it one day and then like light bulb just click on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it wasn't like I hadn't read it before, but it was like, yeah, those are just a bunch of words on the page. And when it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one, I don't know what, Christ put that no one gets to the Father except through me. And that was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
The important part of that was before then, it was really, I was the love of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you were calling yourself a Christian, your actions, your fruit, what does he say? They will know you are mine, my disciples, by your fruit.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't be a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't I probably many ways, was being better than, because I was a dad and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But that's where we get confused with, is this about being a good guy?
No.
It's not about being a good guy.
Yep.
It's about who you're going to call Lord and Savior. And so I don't think I could have done that easily 20 years ago. I was probably just on the start of making that connection. So.
I think too, like one of the same verses that hits me in John as well is 14:15. If you love me, you will obey my commandments.
Right.
To me, that's a gut punch right there. Like, if you love me, you'll obey my commandments. Like, well, what exactly are your commandments, Lord? Right. We can go to the 10 commandments pretty easily, but there's other ones too. Like, and so for that, like, that's one of those like, oh man. And I think about like, okay, What our goal is, like you said, first and foremost, I am a child of God. I'm loving my Father in heaven, so I'm obeying what He says. And then I'm supposed to love and serve my wife as Christ loved the church, it says in Ephesians. So like, okay, am I obeying all of these commandments, or am I living, well, you know what? I'll do that later, but I got to get this done now. I got to go ride the 50 states. Like honey, you have to deal with the kids. I got to go over to Tennessee because I haven't ridden that state yet. And I've only got, a short amount of time to get it done.
Yeah.
Is that, what are we prioritizing here? The prioritized pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. And the pattern, I think, as you just said, is the important part. You're never going to get it perfect. There's many, many days where I'm sure Linda would say, and I would admit to, I was just very selfish that day.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't have cared less.
Yeah.
At least my actions indicated that I couldn't care about what she was thinking.
Yeah.
So then really moving through that, the second part of that is once we've established that we're serving God first, our wife second.
Yes.
Right. And the reason why we have to serve our wife second, and our kids need to see that, is they are watching your every move. Yeah. If you are not nice to your wife, if you trash talk your wife, if you are you humiliate her, those are things your kids are watching.
Yes.
And I promise you, if they're watching it, they are either going to be scarred by it because they're going to say, Dad, you're hurting Mom. I don't like that. Or they're going to copy it.
Yeah.
Like if you are, especially you boys, if Dad is your hero and Dad treats Mom bad, I can promise you those boys are going to just talk the same way to their wife someday.
Yes.
And
yes,
so,
they will.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you get a kid who recognizes, Dad, I don't like the way you talk to Mom, he can actually be more moved towards the idea of, I won't be like my dad.
Yeah. And and it's so funny how it can be one or the other. Growing up, I saw people, so my friends, everybody dipped in college. Everybody, and I saw so many people growing up who did that too. That was like the thing in my age, was like dipping and smoking was like kind of do that, like in alcohol, right? It wasn't weed yet. It wasn't vaping. Growing up, it was, how can we sneak that? Because that's what the adults were doing, and I want to be like an adult. But I just didn't. I didn't follow that pattern. It was like, no, I had so easily went to, man, I'm not gonna do that. I don't know why. I don't know what clicked in my head, but you're right. That is one of the two. You're either going to mimic that behavior, or you're going to see it, not like it, and say, I'm not going to do that. One of the two that you're going to see. And I go back to that serving your wives. It is right. It says Ephesians 5:25. I'm committing to loving my wife as Christ loved the church. Well, how did Christ love the church? For those of you guys who don't know, He loved us so much, He came to this earth to die for us. And so, what does that mean? I have to die for my wife? I've had a lot of couples that I've worked with, and even recently a ton, and a lot of it is the disunity of them, the husband and the wife. And so I'll say that all the time. Well, it says in a couple verses afterwards, wives are supposed to submit to their husband. Husbands are supposed to serve their wife. And to me, there's a circle that goes around. Yeah. You serve, she submits. You serve, she submits. And then that is where the unity comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then they'll look at me like, well, what does that mean to serve my wife then? And I'm like, that's a really good question. For me, service to my wife had to do with my time, because she feels love and quality of time. And like for me, I'm acts of service. So I was like, I am serving my wife. I'm working for her. I'm providing for her. I'm giving her this. I'm doing all these things for our family. Like I'm serving her.
Yeah.
She didn't feel that way. And so there was this disunity at the beginning of our relationship. And so how have you served your wife? How could you give that an example?
So I think this is an important point of saying the only way that you know how to serve, in this case, our wife, is to ask her how she wants to be served.
Yep.
Because I would hit the mark so wrong on, like, what do you mean? I just did this for you. I just did that. And she'd be like, that's great that you did that, but I could have done that myself or whatever. And so, and it's not her being disrespectful. It's just that if I am patting myself on the back thinking how great I am, and it's not moving the needle at all with her,
Yep.
then this is once again more about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, honey, look what I did for you.
Oh, that's
And
good.
so the idea here is, if I'm going to serve my wife, I have to know how does she want to be served? What moves the needle for her, right?
Yes.
And that's when you find out what her real love language is.
Yes.
Like, well, I always thought you liked gifts. No, I'd rather just have the carpet vacuumed. Thank you. That kind of stuff. And the only way you're going to know that is to have a genuine interest in asking the question and then pursuing the action that follows the answer there. So, so that would be one of my things, that don't be patting yourself on the back that you're a nice guy.
Yep. Yep.
You could be a nice guy, but you could be completely shooting at the wrong target.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I think too that you can go back to God with that. Like, I just gave a really good sermon for you up there, Lord. You're like, well, that was about you because you wanted people to look at you to stand up on stage.
That is so, yeah.
So like even serving your Lord, well, like, how do I serve the Lord? Have you spent time with your Father in heaven? Have you sat down on your knees and say like, how can I serve you, Lord, today? What giftings have you given me? Maybe I'm not gifted to be up on stage in front of people spreading the God. Maybe it's just a helping hand, with my neighbors.
And I can't tell you the number of times we joke about this all the time in the counseling world.
Yeah.
That I get done with a session, or even in the teaching world when I get done with the session, and something in my brain goes, man, that was good. Yeah. And what I'm really saying is I was good. I really said all the right stuff.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, within 24 hours, you hear they've done the exact opposite. Or, it just blew up and you're like, what the heck? Like, I could have not said it any better. And when we were in that session, everybody was nodding and everybody was agreeing. Yep. And then all of a sudden it all blew up. Like, what happened? And years ago I learned, this is not about you, buddy. So the glory in that is, you don't get to take all the credit, but you also don't get to take all the blame.
Yes.
Because people have to go on their own journey. And so you're going to find that when you're raising your kids, you can lay it down and you can say, hey, if you're walking around every day patting yourself on the back, I am being such a great dad. I'm being such a great dad. Yep. The reality of it is, well, in your mind you might be, but how are the kids responding to it, right? Yeah. And so you don't really have control of that. They might reject what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Dad, you spent all this time with me, but we always had to spend the time doing what you wanted to do. We always had to go out hunting and fishing, and I would have rather played basketball.
Oh, that's good.
But I spent time with you.
Yeah.
But that was about you.
And
if I said no, you were still going to go hunting.
Absolutely.
While I sat out in the driveway and shot hoops. Yeah.
That's good. So we're going to take a moment right now to pause and thank one of our sponsors.
Are you dreaming of a stunning landscape or a refreshed living space? Look no further than Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop. Located just outside of Bright, Indiana, Casey specializes in transforming the outside of your home with expert landscaping services. They'll also help you beautify the inside with unique finds from their amazing gift shop. We want to send a huge thank you to Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop for being a fantastic sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Their support helps us continue to uplift and inspire dads in our community. For all your landscaping dreams and eye-catching home accents, visit Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop. That's Casey's, making your home beautiful inside and out.
Yeah, so going to the next step, again, living with intentionality, living like we're dying. What would be the next thing that we would go to? We're serving our Father in heaven first. We're serving our wives second. And then, what are we doing with the abilities God's blessed us with?
Yeah, so much, Andy. I think this is a Strong Dad's backdrop here is the next generation. You know, if we're calling ourselves a dad, that means we've already created the next generation.
Yeah.
But so what am I doing to strengthen and equip that next generation? In other words, my kids.
Yes.
And so I would really want us to answer that question. You know, there's a temptation to raise perfect little kids who don't ever do anything wrong.
Yep.
And so I'm gonna, and I'm not slamming anybody for doing this, but here's the control freak in me, because I've casted out my goal. I want good kids who have been raised right, and so I'm the only one who can raise them. And so I'm going to homeschool them. I'm going to spend this many hours with them. I'm going to watch everything they do. I'm going to monitor. And so this is really more about me. Again, one, patting myself on the back of how great I am doing, but it's also handicapping my kids in many ways.
100%.
You know,
that selfish is like, that's my last name. You better be doing it right. You make sure, because that's looking back at me. That's the selfish pride again we've talked about all along throughout this entire episode.
Yeah. So equipping my kids, what's that look like? I always think about the trees in the forest, right? And so you got all these trees in a dense forest, and they're all growing, you know, really tall. The canopy is high, and it has to be high because all of the trees are fighting each other for the sunlight. And then all of a sudden you come in and you're like, man, I want to build a house in this wooded area. So I'm going to come in with my chainsaw, and I'm going to cut 80% of these trees down. And so what I just did is I have a nice yard now with big, tall trees, but none of these trees now have the ability to withstand the wind that they're getting ready to hit on a regular basis. They don't have the root system for it. They're tall and skinny with no base. And so they look beautiful. All right, when they're not stressed.
That's good.
And so what we'd rather encourage you to get dads to do is let your kids feel the stress a little bit. I mean, this is where you have to be reasonable, right? Like I'm not saying, you know, throw your kids out into the wolves, but I am saying you got to let your kids fall. You got to let them make mistakes. You got to let them see how they handle the mistakes. Right? You know, I've told you before, like one of the better things that we did as parents is let our kids do sports, and in particular with the older boys, they wrestled, and man, they'd get their butt beat. They'd get their butt beat, man. But that was like the wind blowing through the trees, and the trees saying, I better strengthen up. Otherwise, I'm never going to survive.
That's exactly true. And I think too, I listened to a podcast. It was Craig Groeschel. For anybody who's ever listened to him before, he's got a really good podcast. And he had a Harvard professor on, and he was talking about the transitioning to the next phase of life. And it was really hard for high achieving people who are used to being doers to transition into the next phase, which is now I'm mentoring, or I'm being a sage, if that's the word. Like, and so like for that age is like, I have to, like, I'm not going to be able to go and continue to produce what I'm producing at 34 when I'm, you know, your age at 60. Like, it's just not possible. Right. The capacity is so vastly different. So at your stage, you're like, okay, who is the next successor? Who is the next person that I'm helping mentor to pour into, to say like, okay, passing the baton on to you. Now it's your turn. Our kids are that direct reflection. And if we don't have children, for some of you guys, or if your kids are grown, like, am I done then? Well, what about in work? What about within your relationship? Strong Dads, when you show up on Saturday mornings for our workout of Strong Dads, you are looking at the next generation of like, okay, are you guys well equipped, prepared for what you guys are going to see when you guys go to the next phase? And so I think that's a really good thing. Like, okay, am I living like I'm dying with the last days of my life, helping when I am dead, that the people who are still on this earth living, are they prepared, equipped to handle whatever comes their way?
And who more important than your kids, right? It's one thing to reach into another man's life, but wouldn't you want to make sure that your own kids have the strength and the backbone to know how to live, know how to defend, these kinds of things? And so, I just think it's really important that, like we've always said, you know, you're going to do things that I wish she didn't do.
Yes.
I mean, when, both of our older boys went into the military, and the one side of me was like, man, don't do that. One, you're going to be moving away from us.
Yeah.
Two, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Three, you're not going to make any money at it. You're like all these different things. And you can come up with your host of reasons as a parent as to why you don't want them to do that. And I realized, that is about me again.
Yep.
That is about me. What would be best for them? And both of them, they don't live around here.
Yep.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I mean, it hurts my soul, right? That they're not here. But that's about me.
Yes.
And so for me to step aside and go, what are they doing now with what I gave them as far as raising them up? Are they strong? Are they independent? Are they raising their kids to know God?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing I really want to tee up more. Like, what did I impart to them so that when I am gone, that their kids will get the benefit of it?
That's really good. And for me, that was hard to do at the beginning of our marriage, our life. So we got 3 kids. I was teaching, I was coaching high school football, and I was coaching wrestling. I was a youth leader. And so we got to this point in stage when we had our second, my wife looked at me, and this is where having these honest conversations, and I could have sniped right back at her when she said this, but I took it to heart. She said, Andy, you are pouring into all of these other children, right? I'm pouring into my students. I'm pouring into the football players. I'm pouring into the wrestlers. I'm pouring into these youth kids, which are great things, right? Oh yeah, be a coach. You're doing a great job for those kids. I was getting told all the time by parents, my kid loves you so much. You're doing an awesome job. Thank you, right? These youth leaders. Well, I'm also being a Christian example to these kids at youth, right? And she looked at me and said, when are you going to start pouring into your own kids this much?
Man. Ooh, that hurts.
Oh,
that
it
hurts.
was so, and it wasn't, I wasn't mad at her for saying it. I looked at her and she was pleading with me, Andy, you are pouring outside of your family so much. When are you going to pour into your kids? I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Something had to give.
Yeah.
Something had to give. And so for you guys out there, like, but I'm doing this and I'm doing this, on all could be really good things, but are my priorities, my priority patterns you had named, is it lining up with what we're supposed to be doing? God, wife, kids, and then community afterwards.
Yeah. And why would it not be, right? Like, why would it not be lining up? And I would say, yes, I would say, like, if it's not, if you're spending 60 hours a week away from your kids and coaching football or whatever, and you just love it, which, by the way, like, we should love what we do, right? And then we should enjoy that. But if it's replaced the love of your life, your wife, your kids, then you got to realize, oh, you know who you really are in love with? Me. And man, this is humbling. Like, oh, geez. And I can rationalize it all day long.
Yep.
No, like, this is, I got to pay for the food on the table. Like, there's a lot of ways to do that.
Yes,
that could free you up to still be the dad.
Yep.
But it's less romantic.
It is.
It's not, sometimes it's flat out doing stuff I don't like doing, right? Like, I know too many guys that are real excited about, changing diapers. Like, we just spent the weekend with our son, Zach, and he's got 4 kids.
4 kids under age of 5?
Age of 5.
That's 4 under 5. That's a lot.
And I love visiting those guys for a few hours, but I mean, I was like, I'm exhausted. And these kids are, high energy, and they, hey, Papa. And you're like,
throw me around, pick me up.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh. So, but, you're in that setting. I do know that, I'm trying to say, well, how are those kids going to remember me? My grandkids. Yep. And if they're going to remember me with, Grandpa was just a grump and he never wanted to play with us, I screwed up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think too, like, thinking about what you guys can do as we're listening to this, and like, what's a takeaway and a challenge or homework or whatever it is, setting the priority. All right, what are the priorities? And sitting down with your loved ones, wife, kids. You're not married. Your close friends, And looking at like, okay, am I following that pattern? God first, wife second, kids third, community afterwards. And am I heading in a direction to where you get to the point where you're sitting there like, I'm pretty happy, pretty proud that I've done these X, Y, and Z. Still got time left, so how can I live these next whatever? But if I'm not, what can I do to change? Like, okay, I'm not happy where this is going. Something's not right. There's friction, disunity. What am I going to do?
Yeah, yeah. The very first thing, guys, is establishing what you're living for. And I mean, like that's that whole, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. I mean, that's where that settled in with me. And so I would ask you, is that from a Christian man's perspective, and that's our audience out here, that's where we're shooting.
Yeah.
Can I really say that that's what I'm seeing out of me? That's what God sees out of me. That's what my kids, my wife, that's what they see out of me. And if I am not able to say yes to those things, then that would be the very first place that I would challenge our guys to start saying, okay, what would it look like? And again, think about it. Like, I think we just gave some great examples. How much time are you spending at work?
Yep.
Why would you rather be at work than at home with your kids?
Yes.
And I say home with your kids or family versus at home.
Yes.
Because I could be at home with my bow shooting arrows for 3 hours in the backyard practicing for archery or for deer hunting that's coming up.
Yep.
Which I listen, I love all that stuff.
Oh yeah. And two, like, I got to go fix the car. Well, and I didn't always love working on the cars, but I did it sometimes with my dad. Like, is there something that has to be done that you can incorporate your children with, or doing at a different time?
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, and I think too, like, some of you are in this point where like, well, I've got to go to work 60 hours a week because I've got to provide for the house we live in. Like, we've set our lives up to live in this high demand, like where I can't afford this really expensive house and these really nice cars that we've got all this loan for. Like, then those hard conversations might lead to hard decisions. It was a very hard decision for me to look and say, I had to give up. I was teaching, coaching, youth leader, one of those four. I had to give it. I had to give something up. Something had to give, or the relationship to my kids, that was going to give, and that was not an option. Yeah. So for you, like, well, am I going to give up this nice car or this home or this job? Or you pick. What are you willing to give on? Because some of you are right now in that breaking point within your marriages or your children. And what are you willing to go and give, Yeah,
good point. Good job. All right. So, guys, here's our deal. It's time for you to look in the mirror and actually ask yourself, what are you living for? And could I observe that as an outsider? Could I observe that and actually see that this guy's living with right priorities in the eyes of God? And none of us are going to get that perfectly. So it's not about beating yourself up and seeing am I as good as so-and-so or whatever. But it is about you. And I'd be very intentional about laying this out with my wife to say, hey, I want to do this better. Help me be the right husband and dad that I want to be. Yeah. And again, that you're giving her permission to be honest and to call you out. And again, she needs to do that lovingly and respectfully. But a lot of times I don't know when I'm driving in the wrong lane until somebody pulls me over and says, hey, you're in the wrong lane.
And if it's not your wife, it might be somebody you know. Like, sometimes it's hard to see the fire in the house from where you're at. It might take a brother who you love, a brother in Christ, to look at you and say, you need to get some changes done. I love you. This might hurt. That might be a hard conversation to say, but that is needed. If my house is on fire and I don't know it, call it out. Please, for those that I love, you got to help me out.
Yeah. Well, guys, hopefully this is good stuff for you. A reminder of, hey, are you going to live like you are dying? Are your days numbered? Everybody has different amounts left, and we don't know when our last breath is going to take place. Yeah. In my case, I've been given a shorter time frame. I hope they're completely wrong, and I hope I'm driving everybody crazy 20 years from now.
Do it.
That's at least 3 or 4 more new bikes, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. If I live that long, I got a lot to learn on these bikes. So you come on.
We want to thank our sponsors again. We want to thank Quality Auto Automart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and the Hebron Grill. We also want to thank all you guys out there that are listening, attending our Strong Dads class on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. We're wrapping up this year. We have one hike to do, and so we're just going to, everybody's coming together, and we're going to go on a long hike, and they're going to try to kill me, and but it's all good. So guys, if there's anything that we can do to help you, please reach out. You can call our office at 812-576-7625. You can also email us. Andy, what's your email now?
Andy@rocksolidfamilies.org.
There you go. Or hutch@rocksolidfamilies.org. So you can reach out to either one of us. We'd love to help you or see what we could do to aid in that help. And other than that, you got anything?
No, I think that's good.
All right. Let's go out there and be a strong dad. Is your car making a strange noise? Or maybe your golf cart needs a tune-up? Then you need to head to Quality Auto Mart. Quality Auto Mart isn't just about great auto repair and muffler service for your car. They're also your go-to experts for golf cart sales and repair. And we want to give a huge thank you to Quality Auto Mart for being a dedicated sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Their support helps us empower dads in our community and beyond. For all your car repair needs, muffler service, or anything golf cart related, trust the team at Quality Auto Mart. Visit them today and tell them the Strong Dads podcast sent you. That's Quality Auto Mart, located on Route 46 outside Batesville, Indiana. Call them at 812-934-2301.